Good evening, everyone, and thank you again for joining in on Finding Help with Special Needs. I hope you've all had a beautiful Sunday. How was church today for the rested and streamed live home? How has the Sunday been? Just to rest before coming online to join and learning all about beautiful. My name is Lola and Lola Aneke, and every Sunday afternoon by 4 p.m. I speak about issues of special needs. This particular platform, Finding Help with Special Needs. Last week we talked about it's never too late to start, and this week the topic is quite interesting. It is help. It touched me. Before I go on to today's topic, I would want to talk about what we discussed. Those who missed it and have not watched it on would be able to catch up. And then before I go on again, I want to apologize for the technical glitch that occurred last week. I said to myself that I'll always have a backup plan. So if it happens again today, let's not worry. There will be a way out. I'll do you a video and you have it all captured on the video. Thank you, Shashida K_K for joining in. Thank you, Favor D, for joining in. Please invite more people live on Finding Help with Special Needs. So last week, Ibiwari, thank you for joining all the way from Canada. Thank you. Thank you. Good to see you too. Favor D, Favor_D. So let's get to work. Last week, we talked about the topic, it's not too late to start. And I talked about the different ways that we could start something in helping children living with disabilities. I spoke to the parents, I spoke to the families and friends, I spoke to the school system, the schools, I spoke to our religious homes, I spoke to university graduates, those in school who might want to consider taking their courses in special education or speech and language therapy or physical therapy or occupational therapy. We said it's never too late to begin for the parents, it's never too late to begin to seek for help. It's never too late to be a part of your child's team for those providing intervention services for your child. And we also said it's never too late for the family members to take up trainings, even for the family and friends to take up training so that they can help and support individuals living with disabilities. We talked about to churches, and we said it's never too late for us to begin to consider taking training for our Sunday school teachers. It's never too late for us to have a form of inclusive service for our children with special needs or individuals with special needs. We also address the mosque. Just right now, a thought came to my mind. I've been to a church where they have special seats for those on wheelchairs. Thank you for joining everyone. Ibiwari, thank you. Dyslexia Help on this Africa, thank you. So I've seen cases, and like I keep saying, it's not like it's totally people don't do it, they do, but not enough. So organizations really try their best to help individuals living with disabilities. Faith-based organizations try to help schools are doing all the bit they can. And I also said that the reasons we don't do much is because we do not really understand what's going on and the best way to help individuals living with disabilities. And one of the aims I have regarding finding help with special needs is to demystify special needs, to make special needs as easy as possible, to demystify disability. So as I keep talking about it every day and even on my social media platform, I want everyone to see individuals living with disabilities and special needs as regular human beings like themselves. The only thing that makes them different is the fact that they need help or the other, and it doesn't make them less different from us. It doesn't make them less productive as us, like us. It doesn't make them less useful as us. So once we understand what's going on with them, it's easier for us to include them socially. It's easier for us to include them academically. It's easier for us to include them in every sphere of life, even in the labor force. So we'll get to talk about that. Thank you, Dr. Wagbon, for joining in. So we'll get to talk about that real quick. So today the topic is help. It touched me. And I've heard a lot of people say, look, I'm going to tune in today to listen to what she has to say. And I said today, you really need to listen in. I hope Josephine is online because what I have to say, because she really called and like, Miss Lola, who touched you? And I'm like, it's all what you're thinking. Remember, we're talking about finding help with special needs. And today's topic is help, it touched me. Like I always begin, I begin with stories regarding what I've been through and in my line of duty and experiences I've had in my line of duty. So I'll begin again. Oh, thank you. I can see people coming on Facebook. I can see people coming on Facebook. So let's get to it. I got a bit distracted. So everyone, thank you for coming on. Chijoke, thank you for coming on. So today we will be talking about help, however you want to say it. Help, it touched me. So the story, I'm going to start with the story so you can get the grasp of what I'm trying to say. So I also try to explain what touch was when I put out the flyer out there. Yeah, thank you everyone on Facebook for joining. Michael, Oluwaseun Wangwade, thank you. Chijoke, Afyon, Sheil, thank you all for joining. So please, as I speak, try and jot down your questions. I'm going to talk about everything I have to say first for the first few minutes. Then I would like you to ask me as many questions regarding this topic or any issue regarding special needs or disability, and I'll be more than happy to provide answers to the best of my ability. So, how it touched me. A few months back, I remember there was this parent that brought a child to our center. So the child is dyslexic. The child is living with dyslexia. So she had issues with reading and writing, and then her spoken words were not. So she had phonological issues. She had issues with syntax and pragmatics. So she would use words for is and pronouns for nouns and all of that. That's what the challenge was with regards to being dyslexic. And then the mother had spoken to us. We had a consultation with her, and she has spoken to us about we having a form of intervention with our daughter. So one of the days she brought the child to us, she actually had a younger sister with her. So the child was about 7ish, and she had a little sister who was about 5. And she said to me, Miss Lola, is it okay for us to leave ACE? Remember, in special needs and in disability world, it's always used to use pseudonyms because of the issue of confidentiality. So it's always easier and better. We don't want anybody labeling anyone or stigmatizing anyone because of our action and our words. So as professionals, we'd rather use pseudonyms as opposed to the real names. So when we're using A and B, you hear me calling some names randomly. These are not the original names of these individuals, and that's, for me, it's being professional about my students and my clients. So Mrs. A said to me that can she leave B and C with us? C is dyslexic and B isn't. B is the younger 5-year-old and C is the 8-year-old who is dyslexic. And she needed to run somewhere close by, not too far from us, and she wanted the child to be with us for about 30 minutes before she comes back to pick child B, who's not dyslexic. And I'm like, why not? It's just for a few minutes. So she left, and then I said to one of our special educators to take the younger child, who is child B, to a class where we have children our age. So she took the child to the class where we have the 3 to 5-year-olds, and then the older child was 7, went to where our intervention would occur. When she got there, everything went on well, and I could hear when at about 30 minutes, about 40 minutes later, the lady came back and I could hear the sound. Where is B? Where's B? And I'm like, oh, B's fine. She's been so sweet and she blended in so well, and she's with a 3 to 5 year old. And she went, no, 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 no. I know my child, those kind of. I'm like, excuse me, did I hear you right? I don't want my child with those kind of children. And I almost broke down in tears because I'm like, if Mrs. A, who has a child, who has C with a child with dyslexia, and C is with us in our environment where we provide intervention for children, any intervention for children living with special needs, why would the mother be saying, I don't want child B with those kind of children? And the only thought that came to my mind was, I wonder what's going on at home with child C, because right there and then I could. The mom was discriminating against children living with this special needs. For her to say that she doesn't want her other child in the midst of other children that are living with special needs, and I couldn't just imagine what's going on with child C at home. I couldn't imagine what kind of even discrimination that's going on even within our own family, or the kind of segregation that's going on within our own family. So that's one of the reasons I tagged today's topic, help, it touched me. So that's an example. Another incident that had occurred that I had an encounter with was the fact that I was pregnant. So a couple of years ago, I was pregnant, and my mother-in-law kept on whenever I needed to go to work, she has this look on her face like, she to work, calling to say you're ill. And I couldn't understand why she was saying that. So I spoke to my husband after a few days because I was so concerned about the look on that face whenever I needed to go to work. And my husband said to me that she thinks that by working with children living with no, I'm thinking, yeah. Please, if you're with me on, like, could you please show me a wave? Yeah, thank you. Over blessing, a heart, just let me know you're here. Wave at me, say hello, say something, because it seems that like yeah, I'm live on Facebook. Everything is fine. Yeah, so yeah, I can see you guys. Please send me a heart, a love, send me a message. Let me know you're live with me. I can see Njokola from the UK. I can see Timilane, Oluwadami, Lola, Daniels. I can see you. Thank you. Thank you. Bidin Bicroft. Olufemi Sheyi. Thank you. Bid God. Thank you. Well, leave me a comment. Let me know that you are here. Leave me a comment, and let me be sure that my internet is not service provider is not acting up again. So those of you on Facebook, looks like I'm not hearing from you. Okay, thank you. Okay, I can see that. Thank you, Aki Benjamins. 1 minute. Okay. Okay, Chris, I see. Oh, thank you. Oh, yeah, thank you. I think we're good. I think I just got a message from Chris. For everyone on Facebook, let me get a message from you. Send me a heart. Yeah, Mohammed Aisha. You all, please send me a message. Let me know you're here. Thank you. God bless, and I see you're here with me. So like I was saying, back to the topic, help. It touched me. Help. It touched me. So I gave an instance of where a parent was trying to say she didn't want her other child wasn't dyslexic with other children, and that really broke my heart. And it got me thinking of what's going on at home with the child C, who was dyslexic and is our own child. That's our first child, and I'm wondering what's going on at home. Then I was also talking about when I got pregnant with my first child, my mother-in-law was quite worried for me, thinking that she kept on having this look like, must you go to work today? Could you not call in to say you're ill? And somebody else could fill your space as opposed to going to work, being pregnant. And when I saw the look on her face for a couple of days, I had to speak to my husband, and I'm like, oh, do you think that's all Mama was trying to say? And then he said to me that, oh, she actually thinks that she's of the opinion that the more I get to work with children with special needs and relate with them, the chances are that my children, my baby could be come out of the child living with a form of disability or the other. That was quite funny for me, really, because and that just shows you the. I knew she had genuine love for me. She was quite concerned about my state, but because of lack of knowledge of what this disability and special needs is all about, it was a genuine concern. But then it just shows me that a lot of people are not fully aware of what disability is and what special needs is. So, and that's one of the reasons why we started the series Finding Help with Special Needs. So I have my child now. I have my second son, my first child, and my second child. None of them is living with any form of disability or special needs. I'm so thankful to God for that. But all I'm trying to say to you today, help, it touched me, is that disability is not contagious. I've been touched by children with disabilities that have been hugged. I've spoken to individuals living with different form of disability. I've hugged them. I've eaten with them. I have people who are married to them, and they've not transferred in any. So I hope we all get the gist today that disability is not contagious. So I also have another story because I just try to make it as simple and as easy as possible. People say to me, so why do you keep talking about special needs on your radio show on Thursday? You have comedians in there speaking about issues of special needs. Don't you know it's a very serious topic? Why would people be laughing? And I say to them, I say, look, it's a serious topic, but then it's not the end of the world. Special needs is already serious. Special needs look like something like it's like people just don't want to talk about it. People are in denial of what's going on. People are afraid to talk about it. People just would rather not learn about what it is and just misunderstand what's going on. And then I felt the easiest way to make it easy is by just going online on air on Thursdays with comedians so that we can actually make it lighter than it is. We want to see it as everyday issue, and there's nothing to be ashamed about it. There's nothing to be afraid of. There's nothing to that is not possible to speak about. So that's why we do that. And also, even on social media, on Facebook and Instagram, someone was like, oh, so did someone touch you? I said, well, it's one of the ways to let us know that individuals living with disability do not they do not transfer the disability to you through touch or through social interaction or through conversation or through relationship. So most of these disabilities are actually genetic, or they are actually neurologically based. Even some of the physical ones are not they cannot be transmitted, so to say. They're not transferable. So you cannot contact dyslexia by speaking with someone with dyslexia. You cannot contact dyslexia by drinking with someone who's drinking from the same cup with someone who is dyslexic, or by eating with a person who is dyslexic. So I've had two stories. So basically, it's not communicable, or it's not contagious. That's the word I was trying to find. But I hope you understand what I'm trying to say, that it is not contagious and it is not communicable. I'll take my time to explain some of the causes of some different we have in Nigeria. Special needs disability has been categorized into 11. So I'll try and take like 5 of the different of the categories and explain what they are, and also to show you that these disabilities are not communicable, or they are not contagious. I have another interesting story. So my neighbor at the center also walked up to me one day. I'm like, oh, I see that you bring your children to the center. I'm like, yeah, they come in, they have friends, they even know their names. They know the names of all the kids at the center, and they actually play with them during break or outdoor. They know their names, they play with them. Even sometimes they come into work and participate with them during work. And she said, yes, but I'm thinking, are you not going too far? And I'm like, what do you mean by going too far? I said, no, no, don't you realize that once your children keeps interacting with these children, they have the possibility of contacting of behaving like these children is high. So they could just start behaving like children who cannot speak properly, or they begin to behave like children who are dyslexic, or they begin to behave like children who have autism. And I said, no, that's not true. These disabilities are not contagious. As a matter of fact, the more we interact with these children, the more we help them to socialize, the more we include them in all that we do, the easier it is for the children, and the better it is for our neurotypical children to learn that the world is the variety in life, to appreciate different. Has another story that links to how it touched me. So it touched too. The children living with disabilities, they are doing fine as neurotypical children. Yeah, so that's it. I remember also going to a school to talk about disabilities to the principal of the school, and I said to the principal, you need to look at what we can do for children living with disability and how you can begin to include them in your school. And all she said to me was, no, 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 we don't take that kind of children. And I'm like, can I just have an observation of your classroom? And I realized that the first two classes I did my observation, I realized that there had two children living with dyslexia in that classroom. I'm like, oh, really? Then so I tried to question the statement, those kind of children. And I'm like, so what is wrong with the children? Do they, would the disability just get children? So basically, the area of the whole idea of help it touched me is to make everyone listening, make parents to me, I don't want my child with those kind of children. Help parents also understand that not contagious. It is not communicable. It is just what it is. Is a different. It just that individual different, and that individual can actually do what every one of us does. So they long to be loved, they long to be understood, they long to be educated, they long to be cared for, they long to be in relationships. Yeah, they have feelings just like we all have feelings. They long to be a part of our work, be a part of our lives. And what better can we do as individuals than to embrace them and let them know everything is okay and that we are here to help them and to be a part of what they are going through. Now, like I said, there's no way we can keep discriminating against children with disability without understanding the fact that, without understanding the fact that inclusion is the way to go. So we can't keep saying those kind of children. We can't keep saying, I don't want my child to be with those kind of children. We can't keep saying, don't let him touch you. We can't keep saying, let him be apart, always drooling. And the truth is that if you don't understand the disabilities and the causes, then inclusion or inclusive education would not be practiced the way it ought to. So I would like to briefly go into the various kind of disabilities we have. Again, in Nigeria, there are about 12 of them. In America, we have about 13 of them. So I always say to people, if you actually Google the special education policy, you see the categories of disabilities. For special needs in Nigeria, these special needs have been categorized into three. So categories of special needs are three. We have individual living with disabilities. We have out of school or internally displaced children. We also have the third set of individuals. Now my memory skips me right now, but I'll get back to it. But the ones that I know that is very important, that is very known, that we all see every day, are the children individuals living with disability. And autism is one, and I'm going to explain what it is briefly and to let you know that it's not contagious. So we'll know this. I'll talk about the signs, and I'll talk about how it is being displayed, and to show, and I also explain that it is not contagious. We also have in Nigeria, albinism is also another kind of disabilities, and individuals with albinism actually have. I'll also go into that really soon. Um, we also have individuals with intellectual disability. Some people refer to them as mental retardation, and then retardation. We also have individual living with visual impairment. We have individual living with hearing impairment. We have individual living with physical impairment. So I think I've spoken about 6 of them. I want to take them real quick and explain the signs before we now go into the reality that disability is not contagious. So autism, it's a neurodevelopmental disabilities. And another thing I want us to understand is that disability differs from disorder. So you could have a disorder in the area of or no, no, sorry, disability differs from delay. So sometimes disability or disorder could be used interchangeably, but a delay is any disability that is you know, I see that the little issue here um on my, okay, we'll talk about cerebral palsy. Or cerebral palsy is actually under orthopedic impairment. So thank you for that, Favor D. We'll get to cerebral palsy before the end, but it's a category under that. It's categorized under orthopedic impairment or physical impairment. So for those individuals who have issues with their limbs, or they cannot control their legs, their neck, their legs, or a part of their arms, those are the individuals that are categorized under orthopedic impairment, or those on the wheelchair because of their mobility issue. So cerebral palsy falls under physical disability or orthopedic impairment. Orthopedic impairment is a word that is being used to categorize those individuals in the United States, but here in Nigeria, they're categorized under individuals with physical impairment. So let's go straight into today's topic. Mr. Aki Benjamin, I see you're online. Could you please leave me a message? I can see your message on my other my other device, but I'm not sure if we're all you can all hear me. Okay, so good. I see that. But I can see that message on this system. Can I just exchange the system? Oh, okay. Good. So thank you all for joining in. So disability is not contagious. That's all we're saying today. And I also will dive into the issue of inclusive education, because once we don't understand that disability is not contagious, looking at the story of the woman I spoke about who said her other child with disabilities. I'm wondering, would she really, if she's speaking, what would other parents say about our own child when it comes to issue of inclusive education? So let's go back to the categories. I'm going to address about 5 or 6 right now. Then we'll quickly look at what inclusive education should look like, and then we'll take it from there and see how far we can go. So disability, autism, it's a neurodevelopmental disorder, and it manifests itself in 3 or 4 ways. Research has shown for the 4th is sensory. Most time we're silent about the sensory integration disorder, but it's 3, I would rather say 4 ways. So one is a social interaction. So there's a deficit in social interaction. We also have a deficit in verbal and non-verbal communication. We have repetitive and stereotypic behavior. This looks like big grammar, and like I said, I'm going to make it very easy, because we're saying we're finding out we can't keep speaking big grammar when it comes to issue of special. We have to make it as layman as possible. So social interaction just simply means the ability to, say hello, good morning, see people, and just interact with them, initiate conversation, initiate play, initiate greetings and all of that. And then verbal and non-verbal communication means a person is able to speak the way I'm speaking, to converse back and forth with people. And some of them, they could be their words, they could be very they could mind their words. So we say they just monosyllable. So they will say fine, as opposed to say I am fine. Some individuals that are not living with autism also respond that way, but for that individual living with autism, it's always fine, and 1 or 2 words. And then sometimes they also have issue with use of language, so verbal and non-verbal Then we also have stereotypic and repetitive behavior. Excuse me. So they hold on to a particular toy. That's the toy you find them holding on to over and over again. They don't want to exchange that toy with another person. Once you change the okay, so for example, if you're taking a child to school on a particular route every day, the day you change that route, there's a problem. So of repetitive behavior and stereotypic behavior is that they want something done the same way it should be done. They want that particular thing. They want it over and over again. And then the sensory education issue is the fact that sometimes these children are hypo or hyper, and sometimes it makes them so light. They're so sensitive to light that's not meant to be too sensitive to. They're sensitive to sound, to touch. So sometimes a little touch could be too much for them to bear. Every touch could be too light for them to feel. Sometimes a child will hear a leaf dropping, but then a loud music, they may not hear it that much. And then, so those are some examples of the sensory integration disorders. And knowing this, knowing that a child might hold on to something for too long, knowing that a child might have issue with sensory, for me, anybody understanding what it is will understand that autism is not contagious. So I'm saying it the best I can to tell you that please understand that autism is a neurodevelopmental disorder. There's no way your child will play with a child with autism and become a child living with autism. There's no way your child living with who is who is neurotypical will have a handshake with a child living with autism and then the child will contact autism. No, it is not contagious. It is not communicable. So please let our children understand that they have individuals, they have children who are not like them, but they can be like them. They have everything it takes for them to be like them. The only difference is that they are living with autism. Because the truth I always say to people, when you don't allow your children to play with other children living with disabilities, this the stigma keeps going on that these children are going to be adults tomorrow, and then when they're adults, how would they understand the issue of disability? How would they understand that a person with autism would not they will not they will not, it's not that autism is not contagious. If we don't do this right now, if we don't make them understand what's going on, then the possibility of us so the possibility of us of them growing older and then not playing with other children, and then we can't, we won't have an inclusive society, so to say. So we keep talking about it on and on and on. In the next future, the generation get to come will just sit there thinking, no, these people cannot, this kind of people, they keep using that, we're not going to play with this, or we're not going to even them jobs at our organizations. That's for autism. Now, someone was asking me, okay, yeah, so let's go to albinism. So albinism is just a pigmentation issue. So most of us that are this, our skin colors are darker than individuals with albinism. The issue is that the melanin level in them, it's not as much as us, so it affects the ability to see clearly. Yeah, and usually they need, most of them need glasses, most of them have to walk away from the sun. But it doesn't mean that if you relate with them, socialize with them, if you have an encounter with them or body contact with them, you're going to be that albinism is contagious. No, albinism is not contagious, and it's okay for us to allow our children to play with individuals with albinism, so that we can have an inclusive society, so we can have an inclusive education, we can have everything. It could be an inclusive world, so to say. Let's talk about visual impairments. So individual with visual impairments could be total blindness or partial blindness. Our kids, it's okay for us to interact with them. It's okay for us to talk to them. It doesn't make them less intellectually smart. So most of these individuals, it doesn't affect their ability to, their cognitive ability, it doesn't affect their ability to learn. And then the more we get to know what it is, so most of us say, oh, this person is blind. Yeah, it's blind does not mean that he cannot read. I'm sure you already know that a lot of blind people are doing great things. On my social media daily posts, I posted about a lady who's blind, and that she created something with the computer, and then she was able, there was also a braille that she could use on her smartphone and on a computer. So you can see that these individuals are actually smart. They do well academically, and it's not okay for us to just speak so wrongly about them, saying that they're less of human as we are. Individuals who with hearing impairment also, hearing impairment is not contagious. Please, it's not contagious. It's just that some of them, so some people are totally blind, some of them are totally deaf, and some of them are partially deaf. And the only thing, the difference between us and them is that they might not be able to hear the way we're hearing. So some of them they hear at lower threshold, lower threshold than we do, but it doesn't make them. All they need is help, and that's why they're categorized as special needs. They need extra additional need so that they can be able to hear like us, and it doesn't deprive them of a proper education, and it doesn't deprive them of that shouldn't deprive them of socialization or deprive them of having relationship with other people or doing what every other person is doing as individuals in life. So I think I've covered 4. Let's look at learning disabilities. Learning disability is just, so when we talk about learning disability, people always talk about dyslexia, dysgraphia, or dyscalculia, and it simply means that a child is having challenge the way the brain, our brain controls every part of our body. So the particular parts that controls reading is not functioning the way it should function, or there's something that is not, excuse me, I'm trying to make it as simple as possible. I don't want to sound all medical or too professional today. So that there's a part of the brain that controls reading. So that part might not be able to read the way it's supposed to read, or might be able to remember to recall a particular word that is meant to recall. And then that also goes for another part of the brain that controls numeracy, also is having an issue in that area. Maybe the part that controls that part of the brain is also, there's something going on there that needs to be, so we call it like brain, what do you call it now? We need some form of exercise and some form of training that needs to be done for that individual to be able to function at a particular level, so that it can actually function in school and be able to get like self-regulate such behaviors. And then also dysgraphia, the moving on writing and all of those. So none of these disabilities are contagious from what I've explained. Because I have always worked with these children, I've always been in their midst, it baffles me to think that people think that a touch could make them become dyslexic. A touch could make them become individual living with autism, or could make them individual living with albinism. So I want to give you a task. We all have to be involved. We can't keep saying, oh, our country is not doing so well in every area. So let's, the economy, the education, the health system, we can't all keep complaining without doing something about it. So my task for you today is go Google about disabilities and begin to read about it. The more you know, the better and easier it is for you to relate with individuals with disabilities. The easier it is for you to know that disability is not communicable, it is not contagious. So, so cerebral palsy, like I said, for the person that asked the question about cerebral palsy, it's not just it's not a standalone disability. So it's categorized under physical or orthopedic disability, and has to do with the more any issue that has to do with mobility of any part of the body, yeah, properly. So even those who have accident, probably their hands were amputated, or those who have poor neck control, or those who have cerebral palsy, which is an example of orthopedic impairment, falls under orthopedic impairment or physical disability. So those on wheelchair, even those that polio could be also under physical impairment. So it is not contagious. I beg you. I've given an example. I've touched them. Some people, I've even touched the ones that drool. So they drool, saliva comes out. All you have to, normal hygiene, have your gloves on, wash your hands after that, and then you're good to go. Disabilities are not contagious. Special needs is not contagious. Now, when we talk about issue of inclusive education, and then I just said, if you keep saying, oh, if it touches me, or if my children socialize with these children, they might start behaving like children with special needs, or they might just pick up one form of special needs or other. I'm wondering how we're going to get through or get by with inclusive education in this part of the world. So inclusive education is just a form of, well, not just a form, because it's quite broad, is quite wide. There are several ways we can actually practice inclusion, but the first is is acceptance of individuals living with disabilities, understanding what they're going through and accepting them for who they are, knowing and understanding that disability is not contagious, knowing and understanding that touching a child with CP would not make you an individual living with CP, knowing and understanding that a child with dyslexia will not make you touching or socializing with a child or sharing a snack or sharing drink with them will make you a person living with dyslexia is the first stage to inclusive education, is the first stage to inclusive society. So once we understand that, we now begin to so there are different things we could do as school owners, as parents. Let me even talk to parents now, because there was a parent that said that she didn't want her child to be with other children living with disability. I don't want to get it all confused. She didn't want her child with other children living with disability. Meanwhile, she has another child living with dyslexia. So I'm wondering what's going on here. I got another call just a few days ago, and the person was saying to me that, oh, there's this little 7-year-old who he thinks is living with autism, and everyone in the house, just the 7-year-old, my heart was broken. The 7-year-old is being stigmatized even in her own house by her parents, her siblings, because she can't communicate. And she can't communicate verbal. Well, her words are monosyllable according to the latest information I got. And I'm like, oh my God, I really need to meet this parent. I need to speak to the parent. I need to speak to this child. So we need to first understand this. The only reason you might be afraid is that you don't want your child to be in the midst of other children living with disabilities. That probably I'm thinking it's probably you think that disability is contagious. And from what I've said so far, disability is not contagious. I am a living example. Most of the people that have worked with me are examples of individuals that have contacted these people, they've hugged them, they've played with them, they've shared meals with them, they've hugged them, they've had physical contact with them, and we're still the same way. And let me blow your mind. These people are just so fantastic. Sometimes I look, we had a visitor that came to the center the other day, and I'm like, let me show off my kids. And I showed her the level of work these children could do. It's like, oh my God, you mean it's already doing 3 digits addition? I'm like, yes, and it's living with autism. So what else? I mean, what are we talking about, for goodness sake? Like I said last week, we've seen individuals with different disabilities doing great things. We've seen engineers, we've seen lawyers, we've seen runway models, we've seen for some of this, Richard Branson is living with dyslexia. So while we would discriminate against them, we just have to know that something is going on. These people need to be empathized with, and we have to find the strength in helping these individuals. So I don't know if I can actually use the word. I'm begging you guys, please, let's look into, so that, like I was saying, the assignment I'm giving each and every one of us today. So in the classroom right now, remember I'm a teacher. So in the classroom right now, please, every day you pick up your phone, read about a disability. Just pick up autism, read about autism. When you read about autism, then when you understand what autism is, you understand that autism is not contagious. The next day, read about dyslexia. When you read about it, see how interesting it is, what these individuals can do, how it is that none of the things or the display of this individual, none of the symptoms are contagious. Then once you have that understanding, you can even easily advocate for these individuals. You can really accept them for who they are. You can easily talk to the next person and let them know that these individuals are just like each and every one of us, and they are different. I'm still going back to the issue of inclusive education and parents. So we as parents, we need to embrace, excuse me, embrace what our children are going through. Understand what it is first. Understand that it's not contagious. Understand that it's beyond them. Understand their likes and their dislikes. Understand what triggers whatever it is that's going on. And then speak about what's going on. Do not be ashamed of your child in your place of worship. As you go out, I keep talking about this parents who I just love this woman wholeheartedly. Like I can't even explain the kind of love I have for her. If she does not tell you a child is living with disability, you will not even know. And this child living with autism, she has trained this child, she has advocated for this child, she has fought for this child, she has done everything within her power. And because she realized that she will not always be there for this child. As siblings, everyone understand what's going on. His classmates understand what's going on. She takes him shopping, she takes him to the mall, she takes him to play dates, she takes him to parties, social gatherings. because you understand that this is what a child is, and it's not less of any human, any of us, like we are all human. It's not different about him. It's still the same as everybody. So to parents, please, let's talk. For those of us that think, oh, your child with disability is less than the other child without disability. No, no, no. There are issues that they're dealing with. Once you understand what it is, you know where to draw the line. Another issue that some parents have spoken to me about is the fact that the siblings of individuals of their children living with disability sometimes get it all confused, or there's a sibling rivalry among them, where they just think that, oh, mommy loves child B more than child C, you know. And I say to them, it's just quite easy. The truth is that sometimes as parents, our parenting skills could be very funny. We just tend to show that when a child, sometimes we don't do it intentionally, but sometimes our kids can see through us that we have, we treat this other child better than, so to say, better than them. So they just think they're saying that. And I say to you need to just understand this, your child. You need to understand the strength of each of your children. So once you understand the strength of each of your children, you let each of them understand that this is this person's strength, and this is what this person is good at, and this is what the other person is good at, and this is what the other child is good at. So that whenever you're meeting the need of the child who is good at a particular thing, the other child does not feel that, oh, you're not giving him or her attention. So once they understand who they are and the uniqueness that they hold, whenever you're addressing a particular child, whether which specialist or not, they understand that this is what I am, and this is what my being is, and there's no reason for them to get this kind of or attention taking behavior among them. Once they understand who they are, they begin to embrace themselves and embrace one another for who they are. Now let's go to the school system. So our schools, inclusive education, disability is not contagious. I say it again, disability is not contagious. School owners, classroom teachers are what matters. The way we address the choice of what matters. I hope there are no more schools that sing Olodo for our children who are having challenges with learning. Please, they are not Olodo. Let's not forget let's not forget multiple intelligence. Our children can express themselves however. Some of them are kinesthetic learners, some of them are tactile learners, some of them are auditory learners, some of them are visual learners. So let's look for what works for them. Our children with autism, most of them seem to be visual learners. So please, let's not sing, yes, Pastor Sammy, you're laughing at me. Let's not sing Olodo for them, because their self-esteem needs to boost their self-esteem. You need to let them know that they have strength. The other day I was talking to with some school owners, and they're talking about prize giving days. So some kids go with the best in mathematics, best in English, best in social studies, and different subject. And I'm like, where's the place of multiple intelligence? Do we have best in acting? So you can act out what you're learning. Remember, I was saying about inclusive education. I'll just be showing some of the tips on inclusive education, some of the tips and practices of inclusive education out there. Let's not forget that our presentation of content matters to these children. So the way you present to a kinesthetic learner is not the same way you present to a visual learner or an auditory learner. So you need to understand that our children, the presentation matters. If you're going to practice inclusive education, your presentation must matter. Presentation of the curriculum must matter. Presentation of the lesson, you must look at various ways that multiple intelligence must be outplayed in your classroom and in your lesson plan. Also, the response of the children too matters. So a child who is non-verbal, would you allow this child to type what it's trying to say using assistive technology, using the computer, or using text to speech, using the software that will be able to help the child to express his or herself, and then you don't mark this child down? Remember, presentation, you have to present in different ways. It's not just one way. Inclusive education is not one way fit all. Secondly, you have to look at the children's presentation, their own response back to you. So how do they show you what they know? You have to consider the kinesthetic learner in your class. You have to consider the visual learner, auditory learner. Some of them are even a mix of 2 or 3 kind of intelligence. So find out that intelligence in that child and exploit the best of the child's ability, and help the child feel wanted, help the child feel loved, help the child feel like a part of your classroom. School owners, please, let's give our teachers the opportunity to. I know that people say to me whenever I meet with school teachers, say, oh, we have so much to cover within 2 weeks. How do I practice my presentation in those different ways? And then they time is against me, and I have this much to cover within 12 weeks. So I talked about your presentation matter, the way the children respond to you matter, and then the setting matters too. So the child might want to sit in a particular position. The child might want to walk around. Some of them, like we said, they need to move around. So you don't just, yeah, I understand that the child might be, and the class might get distracted if keep moving around. But it's old school. It's not okay for us to have our class setting the same way every day. And I mean, for so long. Let's look for ways that we can improve those learners that learn in different ways. For that kinesthetic learner, for that auditory learner, for that visual learner. How is your classroom arrangement? How is your setting favoring that child? How is your setting bringing out the best in that child? Another way inclusive education could be a possibility is the area of our timing. So if a child who is dyslexic, for example, would require 15 minutes to cover. Ideally, you need, or maybe you just need 5 minutes for the. I'm not getting responses from. Let me just check if are they coming from Facebook. Yeah, I'm not seeing it here. I'll look at this comment and respond to you really soon. But for everyone on Instagram, I can see your comment. Thank you for all of your comments. So for our children that we're thinking of, so like I said, I'm trying to do a quick recap and then trying to walk into go back into the issue of inclusive education and different practices and how we can embrace inclusive education in our schools. So the area of timing. So if a child is slow, so to say, like the word I'm putting in quotes now, slow, would you be willing to have extended time for this child? Would you be willing to give the child more time to cover their work? Would there be time afterwards for this child to do his or her own thing differently, and then you are not scoring the child low or grading the child low because the child needs extra time or a form of sitting arrangement, or the child is responding to you in the best way it can. And then you also as a teacher, we have a lot of work to do. Thank God for finding help with special needs. There'll be several topics we're touching. And then the whole idea of finding help with special needs is so that we can bring everyone on. We can all see disability and inclusive and special needs as normal. There's nothing strange about it. There's nothing abnormal about special needs or disability. It simply means these children are different, but yet they can learn like every other person. I've seen children with autism. For me, they blow my mind. Very soon we're going to be sharing, with permission of our parents, we're going to be sharing the great things our children with autism are doing. And I'm sure other service providers of children with disability or autism have a lot of success story of this individual. And people are just always wondering, oh, really, seriously, oh, can these children really do this? But the more we keep talking about their strength, the more we keep talking about what is going on with these children, the more we keep embracing them for their uniqueness, the more we keep giving them the chance to express themselves the way they can, and being patient with them, being empathetic with them, being caring with them. The easier it is to make the world an inclusive society, the easier it is for us to make our nation great. So we need to just get on top of our game. We need to read up. We need to research. I gave an assignment. I'm going to ask next week, being a teacher on this show, I'm going to ask you what you've learned. Just tell me one thing you've learned about autism. Tell me one thing you've learned about dyslexia. Tell me one thing you've learned about intellectual disability. And please, the word is not mental retardation. Please, let's not use that word. It's not. It is intellectual disability. So don't call a person living with Down syndrome moron. Don't call them Mongols. No, it is intellectual disability. It is the word Down syndrome. And the truth is, I say to people, sometimes when I think of all of these things, and how the causes of these disabilities and what these individuals are living with, it breaks my heart. And I'm like, God, who am I that you're mindful of me? Why is my child not living? Why have you chosen me? Why are we all living as neurotypical individuals? And why that person? And it just shows the supremacy of God, the awesomeness of God. So who am I to judge? Who am I to call a fellow human being like me and a derogatory name? It's for me, it's inhuman to call a fellow human being a derogatory name like Mongol or a retard. No, they're individuals first, and they're going through what they're going through. The least we could do is to empathize with them, to understand what they're going through, and then find ways to help them. So this is all I have to say about Help, it touched me. So it's okay for him to touch you, sorry. It's okay for him for her to embrace you. It's okay for you to eat from the same plate, to share a snack, to share finger fruits, to hug. It's okay for you to socialize, for your children to be in the same bus with children living with disability. It is not communicable, it is not contagious. And by our next live session on finding help with special needs, we'll also talk about some other disabilities and their signs, and just to show you that these disabilities are not contagious and they are not communicable. So I'll take our questions real quick. Yeah, I would want to take questions from us on Facebook and on Twitter and see how best I can help us demystify special needs, how best we can demystify disabilities, how best we can help classroom teachers, how best we can help parents to embrace inclusion, how best we can help schools to embrace inclusion and understand that child living with special needs. So I'm waiting for your questions. You're welcome, everybody. Yeah, it's my pleasure. That's what I thought to do, and I will do this over and over again. So thank you for thanking me for this sensitization. Okay. Yes, the world would be a better place if we were all educated in such subject matter. Yeah, thank you. So I'm waiting for. I'll check the other device. Are there questions on the other device? I see one comment here. Can I just? So I hope we're all would now become advocates of special needs and disability, knowing that special needs is not contagious. Autism is not contagious. Down syndrome is not contagious. Cerebral palsy is not contagious. Even when they drool and it touches your skin, does not make it. Yeah, so I talked about CP. I don't know if I've answered your question, Favor D. So cerebral palsy falls under physical impairment, under the categories of disabilities in Nigeria, and it has to do with orthopedic issue. So every person, yes. So CP is cerebral palsy. The short form for cerebral palsy is CP. A lot of people think that CP is intellectually. So they think it has to do with intellectual disability. No, it's categorized under orthopedic impairment or physical impairment. So when you hear that, you just simply know that it's not an intellectual disability. It doesn't have to do with learning, or that these individuals will not learn or they cannot participate in school, in academic, or be educationally equipped. So what it is that if a person living with CP is not able to probably move a part of their hand or their leg, doesn't mean they cannot learn. It's not an intellectual disability. They can learn. As a matter of fact, most of them are super brilliant. It doesn't affect the ability to learn. It's not an intellectual disability. We have people who are graduates of law, of even medicine, of computer science, of engineering, who are living with cerebral palsy. So I've had parents who say to me that, oh, my physiotherapist said to me that I should focus more on physical therapy so that the bones and the muscle tone will be strengthened and the neck control will be strengthened, so that I have more of that, so that my child can now go to school afterwards. And I said to them, no, everything is all inclusive. So do not forsake one for the other. So do not say I need to do physical therapy or physical therapy, yeah, as opposed to educational therapy. It's all meant to be joined together. So as you're having your physical therapy, make sure your child is also getting educated. Excuse me. If they need wheelchair, get them wheelchair. If they need to type, because some of them might not be able to write because of what it is has to do with the muscle tone and the bones. And then so the bone is not able to, sorry, the muscles and the control of the bone. So they might not be able to write, they might need to type. So okay, yeah, so what it says, do I need to type? So it doesn't affect learning. CP does not affect learning. So I'm shocked, and I am broken when I hear that a lot of children living with CP are kept at home and they're not allowed to go to school to learn. Let's not forget that these children can learn. So please, let's find means of getting them educated. I've tried to read up on autism and its symptoms. My daughter does not possess the symptoms, but I noticed that she likes to jump a lot. It could just be that she has a lot of energy. So for favor D, your child might have a lot of energy that you need to find ways of engaging that child. So what do you do with your child? Do you have means of outpouring that energy? Do you take her for after school? What does she do? Does she have a form of extracurriculum activity, ballet, gymnastic? Does she do sports? What does she do after school? She might just have a lot of energy. So if you're not seeing any of those symptoms in your child, please do not label your child as a child with So my live session just ended on, I think 1 hour is over on Instagram. I'm sharing this video on Instagram right now. So on Facebook, um, I think it's time for me to go. It's an hour already. Our time runs so fast. So please, till I come your way next week, please get your questions for me on what I talked about today. And then we'll talk more about other topics next week. So don't forget that every Thursday we have finding help with special needs, and we have different topics we talk about. So today's topic was help. It touched me, and it simply says that um, children with disability is not contagious. Special needs is not contagious. You could also call the number 0. The Kind of just 1 minute. You could also call the number 0809-1273666. If you missed this, for those listening to this on Facebook, you could watch it on our YouTube channel, on my YouTube channel. I'm going to post it right now. If you're following me, you would know by now that we always post this on YouTube. So please go watch. Please go watch on whatever you missed on today. If you're just joining in, it's 5 o'clock. I need to take my leave now till I come your way next week. It is Lola Aneke on finding help with special needs. And please do not forget to be an advocate of children living with disabilities. Thank you for your time. And then I was trying to call out the number in case you have questions. You could call 0809 127 3666, or leave me comment, leave me messages on Facebook and on Instagram, and I will respond to you. Thank you. Bye.